Hi, Audrey. You guys have power, right?
Yep. Although it was being weird for a little while.
Yeah. That's what we finished schmoozing about it. You missed all the schmoozing.
Oh, well.
We talked all about it.
Oops.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm falling apart here. Okay.
All right. So good. So this week's Torah portion is Parashat Eikev. And it's the third Torah portion. Here comes Geraldine. It's the third Torah portion in the book of Deuteronomy. And
I'll be right back. I'm getting the book.
Good. It begins in the Eitz Chaim on page 1037. And it is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 12 is where it starts. And the word Eikev is the second word of the Torah reading. Eikev tishma'un. We have the translation here, and if you do obey, better translation would be in consequence of obeying, this is what will happen. So if is correct, but it doesn't give you the special, it's not the Hebrew word, the usual Hebrew word for if is im. But this is Eikev, as a consequence of, because it comes from the word heal. So it means what follows. This is what follows if you keep the rules. So then God will love you and bless you and increase you. That's verse 13. So this is, again, Moses is here in mid-stride, and he's going back and forth between making all kinds of encouragements and promises for the Israelites, and then also going back into warnings and so on. When he gets into the warnings, he doesn't just warn about the future, but he gives the Israelites over and over. We've had it, and now we have it again. A reminder of how they have failed in the past. So if we had a whole review of, for instance, the story of the spies, this time we have an extensive, most of the Torah reading of this Torah portion is a review of what happened when we got the Torah, and then the episode of the golden calf, and then trying to patch things up again as a result. So, and of course, as we know, each time when Moses retells the story, there are always extra elements or differences or a specific angle that is brought to bear on the story that we didn't have before. So that's always characteristic of Devarim in general. And here as well, the long story about the giving of the Torah and the golden calf story and the second tablets is given here with some interesting elaborations and embellishments and changes. There's also a section about the manna, how important the manna was as an evidence of God's love for the children of Israel and taking care of them. So that's the kind of stuff that's in here. Is there anybody that has a particular piece of the Torah portion that they really, really want to pay attention to? Going once, twice. That's it.
Okay.
All right. Well, so then I would suggest that we go straight into that story about the giving of the Torah, and then the betrayal by Israel of God, and then what happened as a result. And that starts on page 1043. And it's chapter 9, verse 8 is where it starts. Although, you know what, just for a second, let's start from verse 6. Why not? Same page. 1043, starting with verse 6. So We have a reader, please. Thank
I'll read.
you. Okay, Sarita.
Okay. Know then that it is not for any virtue of yours that the Lord your God is giving you this good land to possess, for you are a stiff-necked people. Remember, never forget how you provoked the Lord your God to anger in the wilderness. From the day that you left the land of Egypt until you reached this place, you have continued defiant toward the Lord.
Okay, so nice words of compliments to the children of Israel. From the first day that I ever knew you, from the first day you had a chance, you've been miserable, good for nothing, and this is like really laying into them. And now we get the prime example. Go ahead.
At Horeb, you so provoked the Lord that the Lord was angry enough with you to have destroyed you. I had ascended the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, tablets of the covenant that the Lord had made with you, and I stayed on the mountain 40 days.
You're getting out of. We can't hear you. I think you have to talk more to the microphone.
Yep. 40 days and 40 nights, eating no bread and drinking no water. And the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone inscribed by the finger of God with the exact words that the Lord had addressed to you on the mountain out of the fire on the day of the assembly. At the end of those 40 days and 40 nights, the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant. And the Lord said to me, hurry, go down from here at once, for the people whom you brought out of Egypt have acted wickedly. They have been quick to stray from the path that I enjoined upon them. They have made themselves a molten image. The Lord further said to me, I see that it is a stiff-necked people. Let me alone, and I will destroy them and blot out their name from under heaven, and I will make you a nation far more numerous than they. I started down the mountain, a mountain ablaze with fire, the 2 tablets of the covenant in my 2 hands. I saw how you had sinned against the Lord your God, and you had made yourselves a molten calf. You had been quick to stray from the path that the Lord had enjoined upon you. Thereupon I gripped the 2 tablets and flung them away with both my hands, smashing them before your eyes. I threw myself down before the Lord, eating no bread and drinking no water 40 days and 40 nights as before, because of the great wrong you had committed, doing what displeased the Lord and vexing him. For I was in dread of the Lord's fierce anger against you, which moved him to wipe you out. And that time too the Lord gave heed to me. Moreover, the Lord was angry enough with Aaron to have destroyed him, so I also interceded for Aaron at that time. As for that sinful thing you made, the calf, I took it and I put it to the fire. I broke it to bits and ground it thoroughly until it was fine as dust, and I threw its dust into the brook that comes down from the mountain.
Okay, that's good enough. So it's a nice little speech here, a nice little monologue, pretty impassioned. Any things that jump out for anybody? Any features of this of the way Moses is talking? What is he telling us here? I mean, the story is famous. We pretty much, I think, feel that we know that story. I'm speaking for everybody here, but we've heard it many times. So what do we get from this version?
I think there's an emphasis here on Moshe and his reactions and his interceding with God.
Yeah, so this is not surprisingly, since this is Moses' deathbed speech. He's talking a lot about himself and his experience. So he's going to keep on mentioning his own involvement in this story, right? And we're going to see step by step where he is, what he's what he's about, what he's doing, and then what he reacts to, and then the next step, and so on. So we're following him at the different stages of the unfolding of this story. If we begin again from verse 8, we have verse 8 is, at Horeb you so provoked the Lord that God was angry enough with you to have destroyed you. So that's a general intro remark. It follows from the previous remark that you have been these cussed unpredictable, unreliable people. And at Horeb, at Horeb is another name for Mount Sinai, you did it again, and God was ready to destroy you. But that general statement then is put on pause, because Moses goes backwards then, and he lays the groundwork for what happened, right? So he doesn't go, and God wanted to destroy you, and then I interceded with God, and then I saved your lives. First, before he does that, he sets up the stage of what happened actually to make God so angry. So he goes back a little bit. Verse 9 says, I had ascended, right? You may recall, right, that actually what had happened was I went up the mountain in order to take the tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant, luchot ha'avanim, luchot habrit. God, cut a covenant. God made a covenant with you, a pact. There's a relationship that was established between you and God, and these tablets were the testimony for that covenant. And I went up to get them. Right? So he starts again, like Sarita says, with this personal. He doesn't talk about the giving of the Ten Commandments. That he talked about last time. That was in last week's Torah reading. We had a review of the Ten Commandments and the whole setup of the mountain and the thunder and the lightning and the appearance of God. But now he goes into another thing. He says, so I went up to this mountain in order to receive the tablets, the tangible token of this covenant. And what did he tell us? He tells us, he gives us a detail about his experience. In verse 9, the second half of verse 9, he tells us, right, that I didn't eat any bread, I didn't drink any water. Right? So this is an extra fact. I don't remember. I'm going to take a really quick peek back and see if it's in the original version. Somehow or other, I feel that it wasn't, but I could be totally wrong. But let me see.
Where is that? I was looking for that and I couldn't find it.
Okay. So if we look at 449, after the Ten Commandments, so, okay, what does it say? Starting from verse 15.
All the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, the blare of the horn, and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they fell back and stood at a distance. You speak to us, they said to Moses, and we will obey. But let not God speak to us, lest we die. Moses answered the people, be not afraid, for God has come only in order to test you, and in order that the fear of him may be ever with you, so that you do not go astray. So the people remained at a distance, while Moses approached the thick cloud where God was.
Okay, so any mention about what happens up there?
No.
No. Let's go to 529. Okay, verse 18. This is chapter 31, verse 18 in Exodus.
When he finished speaking with him on Mount Sinai, he gave Moses the 2 tablets of the pact, stone tablets inscribed with the finger of God.
Okay, anything there?
Nope.
No. Okay, and now, and then we have, and let's see here, one more. Yes, we do have it. Now look at 545. And we can, 544, verse 27. But last line. This is chapter 34 in Exodus, verse 27. Can't hear a word you're saying. So
And the Lord said to Moses, write down these commandments, for in accordance with these commandments, I made a covenant with you and with Israel. And he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He ate no bread and drank no water. And he wrote down on the tablets the terms of the covenant, the 10 commandments.
Okay, so this we should know. Remember, we have two tablets of the covenant. The first ones are given to Moses, and then he comes down, he sees the golden calf, he smashes the tablets, and then he has to plead with God to forgive the people of Israel, and then he gets a second set of tablets. So this Exodus chapter 34 is telling us about the second tablets, right? We have no record in the first tablets that this happened, that about the 40 days and 40 nights being without water and bread. But now we find out in Devarim, in Deuteronomy, when Moses tells the story, that this happened in the first story as well, with the first set of tablets. And, it's miraculous enough that it happened once, but it happened twice. Obviously, totally superhuman, totally, unnatural, supernatural. So what do we make of Moses at that time? What's happening to Moses? Audrey, you have to unmute yourself. Good thing I can read your lips, but good thing I could see your lips were moving. I couldn't see what you were saying, but I saw that you were trying to talk. Yes.
What is it? Are we addressing what actually happened at the mountain, or Moses' state of mind when he is recounting it in Deuteronomy?
Well, you can either one. Tell me either one.
Well, it seems to me in Deuteronomy that the voice initially for me is an angry voice, but it is also maybe taking a deeper dive into it. You know how you've been through a trauma or something really intense and you hold on, and then when you get a chance to really come out with what it was like, it's a cathartic telling of it and letting people know this is not so much blame or maybe blame, but like, you have to know, like, he's being like human here. Like, that was supernatural, but right now in the retelling of it, he's being like a human being who's explaining, like, this was really a hard thing, and I want you all to know that.
Right.
For some reason.
So I think there's a lot of important stuff what you're saying. First of all, yes, the whole Deuteronomy is that outpouring, right? The whole book, the whole last book of the Torah is Moses just gushing forth, right? It's his last chance, and there's so much pent up in what he's gone through, and he pours it out. So you're right. It's got a real intensity to it. Sometimes it's very harsh and very angry, like you say, and other times it's like full of amazement and excitement and even ecstasy. And that back and forth is really interesting. Also, this is what I was driving at, and you're touching on it. Moses is talking. Moses is a flesh and blood guy. He's obviously, once in all of history figure, but on the other hand, we're often aware of shortcomings, and he gets angry, and he maybe didn't make such a good decision over here, or this and that. And the other, we're really experts at criticizing other people, of course. So a guy like Moses is a big target to aim at. But what I want to bring out is, on the one hand, this fully human voice that's coming out, but one of the things that he's telling us is how he, for this period of time, was not a human being. I mean, we have to, we just take it as this kind of like legendary thing. Oh yeah, so and the story tells us that he was up in the mountain or in heaven in a cloud with God, and he didn't eat for 40 days and 40 nights. He's telling us this in the same human voice that he's also telling you, and you cussed SOBs, you got me so angry and blah blah blah. So to me it's like there's this amazing contradiction and tension and combination of he's telling us that he was up in with God and he had completely transcended his humanity. He had completely experienced no need for food and water, right? And why? Because he was sleeping. He was in a coma for 40 days and 40. No, he's in communion with God, and he has somehow reached. And he doesn't go into a big deal about it. Like he doesn't go, it was really awesome and it was really amazing, and he just says it flat out. The first report we have it back in Exodus is third person. The narrator says Moses went up and he didn't have any bread and he didn't have any water. Now Moses is saying, I didn't have any bread or any water. But he's not saying it. I mean, you could say, oh, so he's trying to impress us or something. I don't think so. But it is impressive. But it is, saying something about this experience is nothing to do with human experience as we know it. Sarita, yeah.
It just strikes me that, the people were very frightened and they wanted Moshe to be between them and God.
Right.
And here, it's like he's trying to bridge that. He's actually sharing with them and bringing them into the experience. And maybe now it's a bit removed. Maybe they can enter into it in that sense. So I think that perhaps he's trying to bridge it for them here.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the undercurrent all the way through, right? Moses is this in between. He's the bridge. He's the in between. He's the mediator, the intermediary. He's sent by the people because the people are hearing God and they can't take it, right? And basically, what they're saying is, we can't let go of our mortality. We can't let go of our being human beings. Well, if we leave our bodies, behind, that's we equate that with death, right? That's what they say. You go up the mountain because we can't. Another minute of listening to God and we're dead. And what Moses now says is, so I went up for you. I did do that, and I did, in a certain sense, physically die. Except that the dying becomes life. It becomes this completely spiritual, existence and living. Then he says, and God gave me these 2 tablets, right? He describes the tablets. They were written by God's finger, right? And all of the things that God spoke to you on the mountain are on these tablets. So again, he reminds them of what they experienced. Right? You actually heard all of these words, and my job was to just take them down now in physical form. So we have this, again, this process of going from total spirituality into physicality, from being up on the mountain or in heaven with God. And I'm now going to take these down, and I'm going to be a human being carrying stones down to you. But those stones have something divine about them. They were written with God's own hand, and I'm supposed to bring it down to you. So then, let's go again, step by step. He's taking us slowly through the story. So let's read 11 one more time. Verse 11 on 1044.
Yeah. At the end of those 40 days and 40 nights, the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant.
So,
and the Lord.
Wait, that's enough. So, it's not for me. So I want to ask a simple question. Let's compare verse 10 with verse 11. What do we need verse 11 for? Read, Sarita, could you do it again? Read verse 10 and then verse 11.
And the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone inscribed by the finger of God with the exact words that the Lord had addressed to you on the mountain out of the fire on the day of the assembly. At the end of those 40 days and 40 nights, the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant.
So isn't 11 redundant?
They emphasize 2 different things, though. So,
Okay.
though they emphasize different things. I mean, 10, the fact that God wrote it and also the experience of the people is emphasized, and then the length of time, which sort of harks back to Moshe's experience. So,
Which is in
each
verse
one,
9.
right. But 11 gets back to that, talking about the reminding of the 40 days, 40 nights. So I don't know. It just seems to be a shifting perspective here.
So in terms of information, there's not any additional information, right?
I think there is.
What?
Rabbi, it's David Kanigas. I think there is. It references
That's why I'm asking.
the Brit.
What
in
about
11? Luchot
Luchot HaBrit. So look back at verse 9.
It uses the same term. All right.
Yeah. So it's there. So verse 11 takes verses 9 and 10 and edits them down, boils them down into one more verse. But, the question is, in what sense is this really so necessary? Let's read verse 12.
And the Lord said to me, hurry, hurry, go down from here at once, for the people whom you brought out of Egypt have acted wickedly. They have been quick to stray from the path that I enjoined upon them. They have made themselves a molten image.
Okay. So where is this happening? It's happening up at the mountain, right? At the top of the mountain. Moses hasn't come down, right? And and you can look back at Exodus and see this as well. What I think, at least one of the things, whatever literary considerations there are here about creating a transition from one moment that we have, we have a very stark contrast and a crisis, a break, right? We've got God spoke to us. God has a covenant with us. God gives us tablets that are going to be the memento, the physical evidence of our covenant. Moses is transformed into some kind of pure spiritual being while he's with God. God gives him the tablets to go down, and then God says, "I just saw that the Israelites have completely blown it." What happened to the tablets? Moses is still up in the mountain. Moses will go down the mountain and smash the tablets. But the only way he can smash the tablets is because God lets him take the tablets down. What we find out, and I think that that's part of the function of that verse 11, is God gives Moses the tablets right before God says they are rebelling. They have destroyed their relationship with me. So there's something very mysterious, because rationally, what should happen is, as soon as God sees that the Israelites have strayed, God should say, "You're not taking the tablets down. Forget it. They don't deserve the tablets." But that's not what God does. God entrusts the tablets to Moses and tells him, "Go down now with the tablets. You should know that the people have just completely messed up." How do we make sense of that?
So that connection isn't made back in Exodus because you have God giving Moshe the tablets, but then you switch to what the people are doing, and then you switch back to God telling Moshe about what they have done, right? And so here,
What page you on?
so I'm trying. Let's see. If we going back to 529, verse 18, right, was when God gave Moshe the tablets, and then starting right after that, it's talking about the people.
Right.
So and then it switches back to God.
So look at 531, verse 7.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Hurry down, for your people whom you brought out of that land of Egypt have acted basely. They have been quick to turn aside from the way that I enjoined upon them. They have made themselves a molten calf and bowed low to it and sacrificed to it, saying, 'This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt.' The Lord further said to Moses, 'I see that this is a stiff-necked people.'" Same words. Now let me be that my anger may blaze forth against them, and that I may destroy them and make of you a great nation."
Keep going.
But Moses implored the Lord his God, saying, "Let not your anger, O Lord, blaze forth against your people, whom you delivered from the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand. Let not the Egyptians say, 'It was with evil intent that he delivered them, only to kill them off in the mountains and annihilate them from the face of the earth.' Turn from your blazing anger and renounce the plan to punish your people.
Keep going.
Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, how you swore to them by yourself and said to them, 'I will make your offspring as numerous as the stars of heaven, and I will give to your offspring this whole land of which I spoke to possess forever.' And the Lord renounced the punishment he had planned to bring upon his people."
One more verse.
Thereupon Moses turned and went down from the mountain, bearing the 2 tablets of the pact, tablets inscribed on both their surfaces. They were inscribed on the one side and on the other.
Okay, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So
So
that completes the deal.
what completes?
It completes the deal. The tablets were delivered. What happens on Sinai happens. He gives Moses the tablets. If he hadn't given Moses the tablets, then there'd be no brit. Gives Moses the tablets. He's going down with them. The brit is fulfilled. And the people are saved. So it.
But the order is different.
He put the deed in escrow, to use a real estate term. The Israelites listen at the base, and God makes the tablets up top, and then Moses just delivers it. It's still, the brit is still in effect as he goes down.
But in
But
Exodus,
then, if he smashed the tablets, isn't that then the covenant is broken?
So we haven't gotten to the smashing the tablets yet. It's almost, we're almost there.
Okay.
So here, though, the point is that there's this section where Moses argues with God to not annihilate his people, and then Moshe goes down. And here in Deuteronomy, you don't have that interaction before Moses starts down.
Right.
Yeah. So the order is different.
Right. So in Exodus, we actually have a little bit more information about what's happening up on the mountain. God is ready to give Moses the tablets. Then God says, wait a second. The deal is off. They have completely turned their backs on me. I'm going to destroy them. And then Moses, while he's still up there, pleads for God to forgive the people of Israel. This is the reading that we always traditionally read on a fast day, on Tisha B'Av afternoon, and on the other fast days during the Jewish year. So this is because it's the story of God forgiving the children of Israel again and again and again. But the first moment in an extended sense, the first episode of forgiveness actually happens before Moses goes down the mountain. And that piece of information is missing in Deuteronomy. In Exodus, the idea that Moses come down with the tablets can at least be somewhat explained, that, okay, God has forgiven the people, so here, take the tablets down. Okay, that's the extra piece that we know in Exodus. So since God has decided not to destroy the people, Moses is able to take the tablets down. Okay, in Deuteronomy here, Moses leaves that whole piece out. Why would he leave it out? Let's again, let's read from 12 and through let's say through 17.
And the Lord said to me, "Hurry, go down from here at once, for the people whom you brought out of Egypt have acted wickedly. They have been quick to stray from the path that I enjoined upon them. They have made themselves a molten image." The Lord further said to me, "I see that this is a stiff-necked people. Let me alone, and I will destroy them and blot out their name from under heaven, and I will make you a nation far more numerous than they." I started down the mountain, a mountain ablaze with fire, the 2 tablets of the covenant in my 2 hands. I saw how you had sinned against the Lord your God. You had made yourself a molten calf. You had been quick to stray from the path that the Lord had enjoined upon you. Thereupon I gripped the 2 tablets and flung them away with both my hands, smashing them before your eyes.
Okay, so what do we get from this version? Again, God knows everything that's happening. Then we have a reiteration that Moses is turning away. Va'efen, I turned and I went down with the tablets. But the explanation that God has forgiven the people is missing completely. That God is ready there to totally wipe out the people, and then just take Moses to start a new people. Right? He says, "I'll make a new people with you," and Moses comes down the mountain. So, to use a little, to borrow from David's vocabulary, in a certain sense, God is making Moses an offer he can't refuse, isn't he? He's saying, I'm gonna now make you the head of a new nation. What's Moses' reaction? Va'efen. The translation here is, I started down the mountain. I think it's a very bad translation. I turned away. I turned away and I went down the mountain, back to the people. Right? Now we have it more extensively in Exodus. We know Moses turns down the offer. And we know it here too, as he keeps on going, because he's going to constantly keep praying to God, forgive these people, don't wipe out these people, hold on to these people, keep steady with these people, don't give up. But we have this edited version where Moses is not telling the people again, and you know what, I had to pray for your forgiveness when I was up there. Otherwise, God would have wiped you out. He doesn't mention that at all, but he does mention, I turned away from God, I came down with the tablets. So, Audrey, what do you make sense? What does that mean now? When how does then Moses have make the decision to smash the tablets? I mean, wasn't his taking the tablets down from the mountain a kind of a symbol of not giving up on the people? Right? Because that was what the tablets were, back to the point about the Brit. Mm-hmm. These tablets are about a covenant between God and Israel. They're not a covenant between God and Moses. That would have to be a whole new story. So
So
the
is the
tablets represent this connection between God and Israel. And Moses says, I'm not buying, your offer, God, that I'm not taking you up on that offer. I'm going down with the people. And I'm going to take these tablets with me. And then something happens, and he breaks them, smashes them to pieces. What were you going to say?
he seems to be, it's very interesting to me right now, because it's so human. He's protecting the people from God's anger. So he is not revealing to God how angry he is, but rather when he gets down there and somehow
Telephone number 44 at the last two digits. Yeah, good. Thank you. Good. Now it's muted. Go ahead.
But then when he gets down there and he no longer feels God's presence, although God is present because God is always present. It's not like the breaking of the tablets is is something God won't know about. But in a different space and in a different context, he expresses his own fury. I mean, the man is betwixt and between, like he's really in this horrendous position and a very emotional position, not even intellectual position, but just trying to deal with this impossible situation that's occurring, which is to protect the people he loves. But then going down there and making it very clear how infuriated he is. And you're not getting this based on your behavior. So it's very emotional. Very
right. What infuriates him?
Well, betrayal and just complete lack of hanging. I can't like a complete collapse of the project they're all in together.
So what? The betrayal of what or who?
Of him.
Of who?
Of God.
I think of Moses.
So let's look again at verse 16. You got it, Sarita?
I saw how you had sinned against the Lord your God. You had made yourself a molten calf. You had been quick to stray from the path that the Lord had enjoined upon you.
Okay, now look at verse 12. Backwards.
Yeah. And the Lord said to me, hurry, go down from here at once, for the people whom you brought out of Egypt have acted wickedly. They have been quick to stray from the path that I enjoined upon them. They have made themselves a molten image.
Any similarities between 12 and 16?
Yeah.
It's the same language.
In words, yeah.
It's the same language. First, God says it, and God says they have in the Hebrew. It's with the trup. It's very powerful. Saru maher. Boy, did they stray quick. Boy, it didn't take them 10 seconds, and they already strayed away. Right? Min haderech asher tzivitim, from the path that I commanded to them. And then Moses says, I saw what you did. Sartem maher min haderech. You strayed so quickly from the path that God commanded you. So Moses is using all of God's phrases, all of God's language, the molten calf and so on. He's quoting God, so to speak, but it's infuriating him, right? And this is, so it's complicated. What Audrey, what you were saying before, it doesn't end up reducing just to becoming him. On the contrary, he's channeling God. He is consumed here with God's own impassioned fury at the very same time that he has deflected God's impassioned fury from the people.
This may sound like a ridiculous, but in the human, it reminds me of when like your kid gets into major trouble.
Mm-hmm.
with a teacher or the police. And you've got to go in there and you've got to make the case for your kid, and make sure and smooth it over and make sure that they don't suffer consequences. Then you get them home.
Right.
It's like,
No, I
like
perfect
that.
analogy. I see it that way too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. And that's the realness.
Yeah.
The realness of this story, that Moses can actually treat God in God's presence a certain way, and then turn to the kid, so to speak, to the Israelites another way. And I think that also helps us understand why Moses here doesn't mention what he did up on the mountain to defend Israel, because that's not where he's at right now. What he's talking to them. I mean, he's going to go in the next verse and he's going to say, and then I had to save your skin, and I had to protect you. But at this point, what he's trying to impress on them is, don't ever forget your capacity to mess up. You so messed up here, and that's his direction in this whole set of verses until he smashes the tablet. Once he smashes the tablets, then he goes back to God. That's the next verse, verse 18.
Before we get there, I think it's also a little bit different how this breaking the tablets is described, because in Exodus, it just says that he throws them down, shatters them. Here, it very explicitly is that he did it before their eyes, right? So that you could see it, really, as a way of showing them just how much. I mean, this, what this must have been like to have Moshe, just shatter these things in front of you, right? And that doesn't at all come across in Exodus. But here you really get a sense of what he is doing to make them, what he did to make them see. Yeah.
So just go, yes. Let's read one more verse just to come, and then we'll come back to that.
I threw myself down before the Lord, eating no bread and drinking no water 40 days and 40 nights as before, because of the great wrong you had committed, doing what displeased the Lord and vexing him.
Okay. So we have this va'et napal. I fall down in front of God, right? The translation here is, I don't always compliment them. I think this is actually catches the spirit of it. I threw myself down. He throws the tablets down. Now he throws himself down, right? One is in front of the eyes of the children of Israel. And then he has to throw himself down in front of God. So what is now? Again, remember, God lets him take the tablets down. God lets him take them, despite the fact that God, knows that they messed up. Moses takes away in this version the mention of the forgiveness. But if we know about that forgiveness, and that's implicit, it's implicit actually in the fact that Moses still has the tablets, right? So when Moses comes down with the tablets, how can he possibly smash them?
This is the question you read my mind. That is that is my question. How could, what had him do that? Could it just be rage?
I mean, he's now going to turn around and say, "Can you please forgive these people?" So what's the deal with the smashing the tablets?
So that order's switched around too, because in Exodus, so he's already asked God to forgive them. That's happened. Then he comes down, and then he sees and he smashes the tablets. And here he's smashing the tablets, and then he's pleading with God.
So we have to. We're not going to go through all of Exodus again. There's more. The idea of going back up and pleading with God not to. We get the whole business, for instance, of the 13 attributes of God's mercy. That's part of Moses' continuing pleading, because the forgiveness that God gives at the very beginning, the first forgiveness, is just, okay, I won't destroy them. but God still hasn't completely embraced Israel. He says, you know what? I won't forgive them. I'll send an angel. The angel will take care of them. I can't deal with them anymore. And in fact, it's better for us not to be together, because if they do this again, then I will destroy them. So, for their own good, I'm not going to have anything more to do with them. And that's Moses. In Exodus, Moses continues to plead with God for forgiveness and for total reconciliation. So that's the point here as well. So it's not there is that other thing, but of course, yes. In terms of if you leave that out, you only have the forgiveness part here. It's only mentioned here once, but overall, it's again and again. And I think that's part of the thing. Smashing the tablets functions, like Audrey was saying. This is what I need to do to the children of Israel. They need to know how serious this is. But the smashing of the tablets is also a tremendous act of faith on Moses' part, because he can only smash the tablets if he believes that he's going to get another set. It's only because he knows that he's going to be able to turn God back to loving the children of Israel and reinstating the whole covenant. He has that deep in his heart, at the same time that he is absolutely uncontrollably furious with his children, so to speak, to use that image that Audrey was bringing up before. The seriousness of what you did here, he's saying to Israel, there's no mitigating that. It's not that what you did isn't serious and that's why God forgives you. God forgives you because God forgives you. But what you did deserves the smashing of the tablets, which is really you. You deserve to be smashed. You actually deserve to be destroyed.
But also Moshe may have faith that God will be another set, that God will not obliterate the relationship, that God will provide another set of tablets, but the people don't know that.
The people don't know that.
Right. And so here, having them see the tablets get smashed, it's like, for at least for a moment, they have to experience that they have lost God, that they have lost that. Yeah.
Right. To use a very poor analogy, it's a total slap in the face. Right? It's like, to take that story again. I go to the teacher, I go to the principal, I go to the police, whatever it is. I totally stand up for you. I totally, save your skin. We go home, and I actually, for the first time in my life, I hit you. So you should know what you have done. Right? That this is real. That this is not okay. Right? And that's what he is reliving here. And he's not going to be able to do this ever again. Right? He's not going to be able to do it again. We have 1 minute. So, and he admits, he says, you know what? I was afraid. Verse 19. Let's do that one more time.
For I was in dread of the Lord's fierce anger against you, which moved him to wipe you out. And that time
So
too, the Lord...
that's a very bad translation. It's not, it moved him to wish, that he would have wiped you out, right? But it, to the point of wiping you out. But he didn't. Go ahead.
And that time too, the Lord gave heed to me. Moreover, the Lord was angry enough with Aaron to have destroyed him. So I also interceded for Aaron at that time.
Okay. So this is a new piece of information, right? We'll have to just, we don't have that much time. We have no time. But, that's one of the big questions when we read the story the first time. Why does Aaron get off scot-free? Aaron, after all, helped with the golden calf. And we have no record there of God being angry with Aaron, or of Moses having to stick up for Aaron, or Moses, rebuking seriously. He says, what the heck do you think what you do? And then Aaron defends himself, and that's it. And that's the end of the story. Here we have this extra piece that God holds this against Aaron. when we go to the story of the breaking of the hitting of the rock, sometimes we ask the question, how come Moses is the one who hits the rock, and then God says both of them, Aaron and Moses, both can't go into the land of Israel? What's all that about? What happened? Why is Aaron getting punished? This is a little bit of a possible answer. No, actually, Aaron is not getting punished for that. Aaron is getting the bill is finally being paid for the golden calf episode. All right, we're going to stop here. Yasher koach to everybody. Thank you. This is it's a story that never ceases to amaze.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll I look forward to learning again another time. Okay, take care.
Night.
Bye.